Welcome to Wildcat Sports Update. I'm your host, Jim Boyle, and today we are blessed to have with us two senior volleyball players from the Wilmington High School volleyball team. One is Christina Feniak, and the other is Naomi Leone. So welcome, Christina and Naomi. And as a brief introduction, why don't you give us your background in Wilmington High School volleyball, Christina?
I've played varsity for 4 years. I got pulled up freshman year. I played as an outside hitter all 4 years. I also play club. I've been playing for 8 years, for 5 years for Evo, and then 3 years for Mill City. And that's about it. Okay,
so you've been playing for at least 8
Yeah.
years. Okay. Naomi?
I played volleyball for Wilmington for 4 years. First year, of course, freshman, then JV, and then 2 years in varsity. For club, I played 2 years. No, I played 3 years. 2 years in Pumas and 1 year in Slam. And I stopped my senior year.
Okay, now we have an outside hitter in Christina, and your specialty?
I was a setter originally, but then I kind of go like right side now.
Okay, and can we let's give a quick explanation to our audience, because I know I had the coach on the other day and she tried to explain this as well. So the outside hitter means what? What does that really mean?
They basically do everything but set. They pass, they block, they hit, they play up at the net, and they play back row. Basically everything but setting.
Okay, and the right side?
Does basically the same thing as the outside. It's just on the right.
Just on the right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have an outside and a right side.
Yeah.
And a setter, and then the back row they're probably hitters as well, correct? Okay. Mm-hmm. So real quickly, what drew you to volleyball? I mean, you played 8 years. You played club like 6 or 8 years as well. Christina, what drew you to playing the sport of volleyball?
Well, I'd say I did a lot of sports when I was younger, and I was finding my passion, and I just really seemed to like volleyball over everything else. I enjoyed it. I used to play it at the beach all the time, and I did indoor, and I loved it even more. So I just wanted to keep doing it. Okay,
question about the beach. Was that the 2-on-2 you played at the beach, or played the beach the recreational kind?
Yeah, well, it was just for fun.
Okay.
I didn't do it professionally. It was just with family and friends.
Okay, good. Naomi?
I really just wanted to get into a new sport, because softball originally, back in 8th grade, wasn't my fit for me. And I was like, I wanted to try a new sport.
Okay, and then progressed to get to Wilmington volleyball, and you've both been with the high school program for 4 years. So let's talk about the program 4 years. Let's talk about this past year, which is, again, COVID drove everything crazy. So we had a weird year. We called the Fall 2 season. Which means we had volleyball, which is normally in the fall, in the spring, same time as football was played. So just give us the experience that you had this year with your team. You guys started off 0-3, ended up 4-7. The team got progressively better. So just give us a quick, Naomi, give me a quick rundown of what the season was like.
Of course, our season was a little rough in the beginning, and like you said, going towards the end, we actually started getting more into it. And getting being together. That's pretty much it. Okay,
and then with the start 0-3, was it because the schedule was difficult? I mean, Middlesex League has some really good volleyball teams. I know that. So
I feel like the first few teams we played, they were very competitive. They're usually hard to beat for us, and the teams we could beat were at the end. But it worked out because I feel like we got stronger, and we improved more in the beginning, playing those big teams to win the teams we can win. Okay, so going into this, now we know the season's over, but going into the season, what were your expectations for the team? What would in your brain make you successful? What were you expecting? I just wanted to make the best of it, with COVID and everything, lucky to have a season at all, and I just wanted to make the best friends and teammates that I could make my last year and just enjoy everything.
Okay, and Naomi, what were your expectations going to the fun Fall 2 season?
It's the same thing what Tina said, trying to make the best of it, and just working it out until the end.
Okay. Now, the other thing that was unique about your team this year is you were the only 2 seniors on the team. It was a relatively young team, 8 juniors, 2 sophomores. So as seniors, what responsibilities did you bring to the team to help get this you transitioned to a new coach, and now you're a senior, you're the only two there. What type of leadership did you want to provide to the younger teammates, Naomi?
Just like stick together, keeping it close,
Okay.
and like leadership wise, I don't really know.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you've been through the battles with
Yeah.
that and tried to get them to understand. I think because of COVID, it must have been difficult.
Oh, yeah.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah.
So then, Christina, as one of the lone seniors, and you were a 4-year varsity player, so here you come in with all the experience, and you've been through the ringer, and you know all those fun things. What did you try to provide to the younger team?
I definitely tried to set like a high level of competitiveness for everyone, like so everyone could like try their best at practice, like play their hardest so they can like constantly improve, and like
Okay.
communication as well. Like I wanted all of us to like be bonded and communicate.
And did you find that more difficult in the situation we were with COVID?
I would say so, but we still like found like we still had team dinners outside with social distancing, and it was fine. We made the best of it.
Good. So Naomi, you're going to get the fun COVID question, which was the mask. You had to play the whole season competitively with the mask on. What was that like? Did it take some adjustments? What was it like doing conditioning drills?
Conditioning drills? Oh my god. So like the first 2 days of practice, tryouts. First day, I was like I didn't drink that much water that day, and my mask was like kind of thick. It wasn't like, the blue masks, but it was just that since I wasn't drinking that much water, I had to sit out for like the majority of that practice, and it was just pretty funny. But like during the season, besides the masks, it's just that we can't group up together after every point.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And that's important in just more team camaraderie, bonding type of thing?
Oh yeah, no, like if we mess up on a point, we're gonna be like, oh yeah, no, you're fine, you got the next point. It's not like we can't just say it, or like we can't communicate in that tight group after every point.
Okay, and then just as an offshoot of that is, Christina, you talked about bonding as a team after the game, or having outdoor team meetings, team dinners, whatever you want to call them. Was it unusual because there was no locker room, there was no bus, there was no, you couldn't meet together on the court? How did you mitigate? How do you try to overcome that with as a teammate?
I guess we just talked to each other a lot. Like we hyped up each other, like even in the text group chat or in our cars. Like we still made the best of it.
Okay, that's fair enough answer. Everyone, I've had a lot of the student athletes in, and everyone's going through the same thing. You're missing that aspect of your senior year, and there's no locker room and there's no bus, and the fun that was had.
We did take a bus one time to Watertown, and it was really fun.
Oh,
It was really fun.
That's good. And just real quickly, Naomi, the difference between playing in the spring and the fall and practice, did you get the same amount of practice time that you would have on a regular season, or was that limited, so you had limited amount of time to work on fundamentals and that sort of thing?
I would say since we can't practice like 5 days a week, I would say it was a little bit limited in like our time, like because cheer was like either before or after us, so it was like it's not like a it wasn't like the same schedule every day.
Correct.
So it was like different timestamps during the week.
Do you feel, Christina, that you got enough practice time? And I know you were playing 2 games a week. I know sometimes you might have in the fall. I don't know, did you play 3 games a week? And during the season, one of the things that I hear from athletes is, the limited amount of practice time. So we're always playing a game. We don't get to work on things that we have to. Did you feel like because there was only 2 games a week, you got a little bit more face time with the coach and a little more opportunities?
Yeah, we definitely practiced a lot more. We had a lot more time to like sharpen our skills, and instead of playing like 3 games a week like we usually do.
Okay. So that's transitioned us. We did have a new volleyball coach come in this year, Coach Donahue. And how was that? What was that like she was hired in the fall, and we had no fall season, and the season comes in the spring. What was it like trying to bond and get used to a new coach in this environment, Christine?
Well, I used to have Coach Donahue for my old club at Evo, so I already knew her going into the season, but she definitely made our team a lot more competitive, and she did she brought a lot of new drills to the table, and it just overall made us more competitive.
Okay, and transitioning to a new coach, was she Naomi, was she more of a fundamentals coach, or was she focused on conditioning, or where did she run? And because you talked about the mask in that first practice, was that something different than you guys were used to? I don't know what a volleyball player does. Conditioning, I think you have to run because you're constantly on the go. But was that a little bit different from old coach to new coach?
We focused more on conditioning the first couple of practices, and then we worked on more fundamentals like as the season progressed, based off the videos that we were watching of our old playthroughs. But the main thing was her big thing for us was communication. Yeah.
And again, I'm going to ask a novice volleyball person who has limited access to it. Communication, what does that mean, Christina, communication?
Well, the players obviously have to communicate with one another because the passer has to communicate with the setter to where the ball is going, and the setter has to communicate which hitter she's going to set, and we have to be talking for to execute a play.
Okay, and then I'm going to ask one more COVID question. Talking communications, the mask caused any rifts with the communication, Naomi?
Oh yeah, I would be screaming across the court from the bench, and no one can hear me on what I'm calling out, and I would be screaming on top of my lungs. Sometimes I would be pulling it just a little bit far from my mouth so then everyone could hear me. But that was the big thing, is that we have to be super loud than we normally have to be.
Okay. And especially in an empty gym and if you had no mask on, everyone would hear you anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Final question about the team. As you've been there for 4 years, both of you, do you feel like you're leaving the team in good hands, or with some of the younger players come up? And did you see growth from the younger players throughout the year?
Yeah, I've definitely seen a lot of growth from the girls. Maddie and Sarah's middle hitting, they've improved so much from what I've seen, and I definitely think they're in good hands because Lauren's a great coach, and I think they'll win a lot of games next season.
Good. And Naomi?
Same thing, especially Sarah Levita. She has been improving a lot as a middle hitter. She's improving her ones a lot.
Okay. Who's the best server on the team? Put you guys on the spot. I'm sorry. I didn't pre-run that question by him before, so I'm sorry. I just think if it came up with something, you don't have to answer that. We'll let that one slide. You can say yourself if you're the best server. Because if it was me, I'd say, oh, it was me. Okay, so as individuals, now that you're seniors, you've done your 4 years, you've played volleyball, and you got the opportunity to play high school sports and enjoy all that. Let's look at coaches that influenced you along the way. You said that Coach Donahue was your AAU or your club coach. Was there anybody else that you've had along the way that's really inspired or influenced you?
Yeah, I've had a ton of coaches. My coach for Mill City right now is Coach Mohammed. We're still playing club, so he's still helping me improve. Coach Donahue and Coach Kim also helped me a lot this season. And I'd say also Coach Nicole from Evo. She really taught me the fundamentals of volleyball.
Okay, Naomi?
Definitely my second year in Pumas, my coach over there, she really taught me how to be really fast and react faster on the court as a setter. At that time, I forgot her name, but and then this one Endicott summer camp. Same thing with Nicole, because she was part of that camp too. She really taught me how to be more aggressive than being scared on the court.
So you both then played club and both then had summer camps. You did a lot of camp work. Okay, and that really helps to develop the skill set you need to be successful.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask the funny question. Inspiration. You had to become a volleyball player. Is there anything that any player, coach, parent that inspired you to get to this point, Naomi?
Definitely my parents. They kept pushing me a lot throughout the way. You can always see my mom on the sidelines, like, just cheering all of us on the court. Like, you can see her with her phone just in the back, and she's like screaming at everyone and supporting like our entire team as well, mentally.
I'd also say my parents. Like I said, my dad like used to play beach volleyball with me, and like it inspired me to like play indoor and keep going from there.
Good. You both played for 4 years high school. What's a highlight do you have within the Wilmington 4 years you played at Wilmington? Highlight, Christina?
I can't think of the 4 years, but this year I think I personally played really good at the senior game. I think I got 12 kills, and I just thought it was like the best game I played.
Good. Naomi?
And during our senior game, I think I have a little bit of a serving run that time. Yeah, that was a good highlight.
Good. And how about just in general in volley? Because you have played club. Are there any teams that you're on that really that you won or you had a chance to be ultimately successful, Christina? Any other volleyball highlight throughout your whole life?
I'd say that, well, this is like for a club highlight, but I'd say the time we went to Arizona to play like in the national qualifier, we were up against like some pretty big teams. Like they were very good, and it was scary to play against them, but it definitely made me like better in the end and more like confident in my playing.
Good. Naomi?
Definitely my second year in Pumas. Even though that we won like one NERVA tournament, we still made the best of it. And like we were of course versing like really competitive teams at that point, specifically in like our Rhode Island Rumble tournament. We got knocked out like probably around like our second game, because that team was like really good.
Good.
Yeah.
So now you're, like I said, we know that you're seniors, and are there any other activities that you do within the high school? Naomi?
I do theater, and I'm in AP Psych, but I used to do like environmental club and baking club, Rotary Club. I used to do a lot of clubs. With
theater, what does that mean, theater? Are you like, is there a role that you played or acting-wise?
I'm more of a tech person.
Okay.
Right now I am the director of media for our show that's coming up on like later in May. And right now, I'm going to be live streaming it.
Okay, so the show coming. Why don't you tell us what's the show, when it is? We'll give you a shout. We'll do some theater in the sports side.
I don't know I don't know what day it's gonna be on, but it's gonna be like on a Sunday later on. But it's the show is gonna be called. It's inspired by the seven deadly sins.
Okay.
And there's going to be 7 scenes. We have like a dance number at the end.
Okay.
And yeah.
And you're responsible for live streaming it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And going to have help from Hayden, of course, too, from it. Yeah.
And maybe is WCTV going to help be involved in any way, shape, or form to get it broadcast? I don't know.
No.
We'll find out. We can put in a good word for you guys. Christina, how about you? What other areas or studies or what you've done within the high school career?
I don't play any other sports, but I take AP classes, medical careers club, and I'm in math club.
Okay, so we have 2 much smarter people here than I am, which is always good to have. We had a new coach, and we talked about her. What's one thing that you learned from Coach Donahue this year, not from club, but this year she coached you for the first time? We'll start with you, Christina.
I think she just taught me to be like overall confident, communicate more with the team, because usually I'm quiet, and I can see why it's important to communicate so we don't crash into each other and we like make good plays. And yeah.
And Naomi?
Basically what the same thing what Tina said about communication wise, and how to be like more confident on the court.
Could you, both of you, have any aspirations for volleyball post high school? So you said you're both still playing club, or some of you are still in a club sport?
Yeah,
Are you going to continue on with that as you move forward, or are you going to just do college?
My club season ends at the end of June, I think, and then I plan to try out for club at UConn.
Okay.
I don't know if there is a club team for Bridgewater, and if there is, then I might try out for it.
Okay, so this has been a good run, and if there's an opportunity, it's a sport technically you can play for a long time, because you only need 6 people on a net and a ball, right? Or 12 people.
Yeah.
That's good. So if there's any piece of advice you would give Coach Donahue after her first year, what would it be to help get this program moving forward? Christina?
I'd say start a youth program, like definitely get the younger kids involved so they already know like how the game works and they know some skills going into high school.
Okay. Naomi?
To grab the attention of like not just 8th graders, like again what Tina said, like starting a youth program and like really getting them up to here, basically.
So that's transitioned me to my next question, Naomi. The perfect transition is, if I had a group of 5th or 6th, 7th graders here with us right now, what would you tell them about volleyball? What would you tell them to get them excited about volleyball, about the future, how it would work? And I'll ask both questions. We'll come to both of you. So Naomi, what they were sitting here, what would you tell them?
I would tell them about like the specific positions that you can play. You could be like a setter, which is like a quarterback equivalent to the football. I can tell them how competitive the sport is and how very team oriented it is. Yeah.
Okay, and what would you, the 6th grade girl says, I hear about this volleyball. What would you tell them to get them enticed and to get them excited?
I would definitely explain the different positions. I would also probably like take them to one of our games or like have them watch a video of like playing and see how it is, because it's a fast-paced game. So. Okay,
then what would we? How as a program can we? I think you mentioned this before with camps, but how can we get those young girls moving forward? You had camps, which might involve players as well. Is there any other way to entice them to do it? You talk about getting to the games or showing them film. Is there anything, if you were in 6th grade, what made you move towards volleyball?
I guess like you don't know until you try it. Like they'd have to play first and see if they like it. Like I know like when I hit, like you get like an adrenaline rush and it makes you like happy, like, and you want to keep playing and you get into the game.
Good. Naomi, anything else to add to that? Talk to your 6-year-old or 6th grade self.
I would actually say like my freshman year, like that's how I started off. Like I tried the sport and I actually really liked it. Yeah.
So you're a poster child for how Wilmington does things right now. You get into the sport and then you move forward.
Yeah.
What's the most fun thing you have? What's the most fun thing you get out of volleyball, Naomi?
Most fun thing. Really just, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't.
That was one we didn't pre-ask that question.
It's so
Really.
open. I'm like, I don't know. How to like
Okay,
say it.
and Christina, now that you've gotten a chance to ponder the question, I'm going to throw it right at you now. That I must, you know what? That's a mistake on the host's part. He screwed that question. That's really not a nice way to ask the question. I'm just trying to think of what brings you. I'm going to say this is kind of corny, but most joy of playing volleyball. What you're playing and you're thinking, oh, this is awesome. What drives that, Christina?
I'd just say like the game in general, like it can go either way. It can have many changes. We can be up, we could be down, like, and even like playing with my teammates, like,
okay.
I enjoy it.
So speaking of teammates, with some of the other seniors, some of the sports, we asked about your teammates. Who's the funniest teammate on the varsity team, Naomi?
Bella Kieran.
Okay.
Bella Kieran.
And who's the best dressed, Christina?
Best dressed.
Or the most stylish is probably the word I should have used.
I'd say Maddie.
Okay. And then who's the quietest? Who doesn't speak a word? Who's very generally?
Me. Me.
You?
I don't really speak out that much.
You're doing a good job here, though. You could have fooled me. If you said you earlier, I would have said no way, but okay. And then who is the best, I'm going to say this, who's got the best non-volleyball talent, whether it's singing or dancing or performing or whatever, Christina?
I'd say Lauren and her dancing.
Yeah, definitely Lauren and her dancing.
So Lauren's getting a big shout out. And then who did you play, what teammate have you played with the longest, Christina?
For
who? What teammate have you been with the longest?
Oh, I'd say Naomi, right?
Yeah.
And Naomi and Haley and Alyssa, I think.
Okay.
We played last year in varsity.
Yeah.
And my guess would, let me see if I can think, you're going to say Christina's the one you played with the longest.
Oh yeah.
Pretty good guess on my part there. And then finally, who's the loudest? Who's the one that you get in the crowd and your team, and who's the loudest? Who's just loud? Like they would say, I'm loud. So I understand what that means.
I'd say Alyssa or Sarah.
Okay.
Definitely. Sarah. Definitely Sarah.
Okay. And then back to getting ready for before a game. Do you guys have music before a game? Do you have like the basketball teams play music? And I asked all those members of the teams what's their favorite. I call it a walk-up song. It's a baseball term. But what's the pre-game? What song gets you going? Get you ready to go, Christina?
I'd say The Spins by Mac Miller.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
definly the Spins.
the Spins. Well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to listen to that when I go home because I have no idea what that is. Again, another host faux pas. If I asked the guy, I should at least be able to hear it in my head. And then, what are you going to miss the most about your volleyball experience, Naomi?
Since it was COVID, but like beforehand, it was definitely the bus rides there and back, like just being loud and like singing on the bus, being a team.
What's the popular most singing song on the bus? What's the, or did you have a specific cheer on the bus or played music? And what was, over your 4 years, what was the number one?
I mean, after every win that we got and just like cheering on the bus ride home and just slamming against like the bus and just having our Wilmington cheer, and like during the fall season, you see the football people playing, and then they always look at us because they can hear us.
Well, that's
Yeah.
good. And did you have the same bus driver all 4 years or 3 years prior to this? Do you know? Was the same person driving your bus?
Oh no.
It was always different?
No, yeah.
And once they heard that bang and they
They're
thought,
like,
"Oh, this-"
exactly, they were fed up with us.
That's awesome. And what is the one thing for you that you're gonna not miss the most, but about being on the bus, or what's you're gonna take away with you?
I'd say definitely my teammates. Like, I'm gonna miss seeing them every single day and playing with them, and I definitely come to all their games next year.
Oh yeah.
I'll try to.
Okay, good. And then so brings us to next year, which is a fun part. What are the plans for the two of you? We'll start with you, Naomi. What's your plans for next year?
I'm gonna study computer science at Bridgewater State University for like 4 years, and then maybe get my master's degree
Okay.
in it.
So we know who can live stream stuff now. I know who to call, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Christina, future?
I want to major in math on a pre-med track at UConn.
Okay, good. All right, so I have like 30 seconds left, so let's look straight into one of the cameras here and give a shout out to anybody you want to shout out to. Christina?
I want to give a shout out to my parents for supporting me and paying and driving me to all my practices and games, and all my coaches that helped me throughout the years.
Naomi?
Same thing for my parents. Thank you so much for just being there for me every single day and supporting me while I'm on the court and off the court.
Okay. I'd like to thank both Naomi and Christina for coming in and giving us this up-close view of volleyball at Wilmington High School. And for Wildcat Sports Update, this is Jim Boyle. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on down the road.